Praise be, bitches! It is I, InsaneLayne, and today we'll be looking at the Hulu series Handmaid's Tale, Episode 5, Faithful, coming at ya. We open with more Scrabble. She's beaten the commander this time, and we hear it's been 34 games. We see she's drinking now, she's got her skirt pulled up a little. She's being a little flirty, but always with caution.
I have a present for you.
He is so creepy! I mean, he's being absolutely salacious about this. Dude, it's a fucking magazine and he's acting like the mayor of Creepy Town giving a pony to a 5-year-old. Then he oh so voyeuristically watches her read, and it's like a wonder he doesn't start jerking off right there. I do like Offred's comments on how strange the models look now because no woman has looked like that in years. And let's face it, when you get into high fashion, they just look weird sometimes. Beautiful, but weird even by today's standards. Oh yes, and the list of how to tell if a guy likes you, but of course none of that matters anymore because this is Gilead. Then we flash back to modern day problems. There are no good candidates on Tinder. Tell me about it. And then we see how June and Luke met.
Hey, photo. Watch this. Hey, oh, hi. Hi. Hey. You look heterosexual.
I love Moira. Yeah, he's married, but he's cute. Then we're back to the kitchen where we learn that Rita doesn't like anyone.
Don't you have somewhere to be?
No.
And Offred indulges herself by using the list to see how much Nick likes her. I'll say right now, I don't like her attitude much in this episode. She's being reckless and occasionally a little stupid. I know she's getting a small taste of living in those evenings with the commander, but she is playing with fire by bringing any of it outside this room. That room. Then Serena asks Offred to join her outside and help with the gardening, and Offred is sure that she must have found out about something.
She found out about Scrabble, or she found the writing in the closet, or maybe it's the magazine. Any way you slice it, I lose a hand.
Serena is being cryptic and vague, but when she eventually gets it out, she says that maybe her husband's the problem, and that Offred's time here is running out. She's offering to help with another man. Even though it's forbidden, there's kind of an unspoken rule that this happens all the time because you do what you gotta, and they'll use Nick.
Nick is loyal, and he's been with us for a very long time.
If only she knew. Then it's shopping time, and I have to say, I love the grocery store set. I kind of wish grocery stores really looked like that, other than the lack of words. And while Janine talks about her baby and gets scolded for it, we see that Glenn has returned and is now of Stephen. Offred tries to talk to her, but she's not saying what happened. But she does mention Mayday. But before we're told anything else, Glenn 2.0 pulls Offred away, and on the way home, she lays down the law.
I'm not gonna let you mess this up for me. I'm clean now. I got a safe place to sleep every night and I have people who are nice to me.
All right.
And I want to keep it that way. Whatever they did to Stephen, that's not gonna happen to me, understand?
Mm-hmm.
Then it's time for Serena's backup plan. June says it feels like cheating for the first time. This is probably because this appears to be her choice, but, I mean, come on, really? What would have happened if she said no? Would Serena Joy have accepted that, or would she just have forced her anyway? I mean, really. Now, maybe it's because of the flirting between the two and the fact that she knows that Nick likes her, but I think there was a better place in the episode for that line. Speaking of Luke, we flash back to the two of them having a coffee date. The thing that got my attention here, look in the background behind them. There's 3 little girls wearing identical red coats and outfits. They look like something out of a European horror movie. I can't stop watching them. We learn they've both been keeping this relationship a secret from those closest to them, and while pretending there's nothing going on, they work out where they can go to fuck.
Hey.
We finally see what Nick's place looks like. It kind of looks like my first apartment, honestly. And while Nick says, you know, we're gonna do the ceremony thing in Paris, Serena Joy's like, no, just fuck while I stand here awkwardly and pretend to not be watching. Well, I will say, this scene manages to be more awkward than the first ceremony scene. Wings off to the director, and all the actors involved. Then we're back to her first time with Luke, and interestingly enough, he's the one cheating there by being with her, while she's thinking now that she's cheating on him. There's a bad joke in there somewhere. We also learn she prefers to be on top. There's a really bad joke in there somewhere. She's anything but on top now, as Nick very awkwardly does push-ups on top of her while trying not to look at her, and the bed groans in protest. The two women then sneak back to the house, where Serena Joy's desperation shows once again.
How do you feel? Do you feel any different?
And Offred has had just about enough of her zealousness.
Just feel pregnant 30 seconds after a man comes.
But rather than smacking her around, Serena just hits her with scripture and sends her to lay down. We then get a rare moment of one of the wives being not a complete fucking bitch. Of Stephen's mistress feels really bad for her, and she says, I'm maybe not feeling so good, we could skip the ceremony tonight. She's genuinely trying to be nice, she gets what a horrible situation this is. But, of Stephen is right. She says, you can't play sick forever, we have to do this eventually, because I would assume that eventually she would be the one in trouble if the ceremony was not taking place. And apparently her and Offred have synced up because it's ceremony night for her too. And as everyone gathers around, something caught my attention. Why is she allowed to smoke? This is a crazy health-conscious society. And I'm not just saying that. We've seen they worry about cancer rates. They control what the handmaids eat, what they drink, what they're exposed to for those reasons. Remember, they can't have sugar, alcohol, or fatty foods. And they certainly can't smoke. So why can wives? At first I thought this is because wives are essentially useless in this society. They have no more purpose than a Martha, and arguably less so, because at least Marthas cook, clean, and, do something productive. The only difference between the Martha and the wife, given that both are infertile women, is the color of their clothing and their status. So who cares if a wife smokes? Remember other things we've seen? Offred's room has no overhead light because the last handmaid hung herself from it. The windows are shatterproof. There's no mirrors, etc. Yet, Serena Joy has knitting needles, she has pruning shears, there's mirrors in her room. Why would she be allowed these things? Certainly the Marthas aren't allowed these things. They're not allowed to smoke. Because Marthas produce something. Wives are like placeholders. They're objects for the men to look at and occasionally say hello to over breakfast, but really, what purpose do they serve in this society? I wonder what it feels like to know that society doesn't value you at all, and in fact doesn't care if you want to off yourself. Though I'm still surprised she's allowed to smoke around Offred. During the rapey part of the ceremony, the commander gets a little too eager. He puts his hand on her leg, he actually looks at her when he's fucking her. Thank God Serena Joy wasn't paying any attention, though. But this scares Offred enough to get her angry, and it is very dangerous for her to be angry with the commander. Fortunately, he gets it. He understands. Serena Joy has total power over Offred. One word from her.
I didn't mind it. I don't think you did either.
What if she saw you? She could have me sent to the colonies, or worse, and you know that.
He apologizes, but she's still angry and kind of wandering around. And here is where I lose that 1 second of compassion I had for him, thinking that, for once, he's actually okay. He understands why she freaked out. He apologizes, says, that was not a smart thing to do. He gets that at least. I almost thought he was being decent for like 1 second, and then he literally dangles it in front of her like a treat in front of a dog. He talks to her like she is a very small child he's trying to placate with a toy. Then he flips through the new magazine while bitching about how women wanting equality fucked up the world and how great things are now. June says, yeah, but we used to have choices. He brushes that off with,
Now you have respect. You have protection. You can fulfill your biological destinies in peace.
I could spend all day on what Gilead calls respect, but I'm nothing if not restrained. So here are just a few examples of what they call respect. Rape, forced impregnation, slave labor, mutilation, public stonings, public hangings, kidnapping, forced prostitution, isolation, starvation, daily beatings, electrocution, torture, and human trafficking. R-E-S-P-E-C-T indeed, ass clown. He doesn't believe in love, but she just can't let it go, and so she speaks when she shouldn't. The master is displeased. So, while looming over her, he recounts in a horrific way what they did to Ovglen. That Ovglen had been compelled to break the law out of what she thought was love. But of course, she's all wrong about what she wants, and while normally this crime is such an affront to God, they would have killed her.
In cases such as these, the punishment is death, but out of respect for her position, we let her live. We're not without compassion.
Yeah, the high and mighty men have so much respect for the fact that God made her fertile, they'll just return her to rape duty. After cutting off her clit. I note that they call this respect, and yet the hanging of the Martha was called the mercy of the state. Is this a hint of self-awareness or just a really sick joke? The only mercy that can be shown in Gilead is death, because there is no way out and Gilead is hell. Still, Offred just can't help herself.
What did you do to her?
We helped her. We saved her. We had a doctor take care of the problem. It's such a small problem, truth be told.
Whoa. I need a shower after that line. And he finally says it, that he helped cause all of this. He was one of those working behind the scenes that overthrew the government and made this happen. Yeah, they had such good intentions. But on some level, he knows how fucked up this whole thing is. Worse for some is the mother of all understatements. So much so, June has to throw up in the kitchen and runs into Nick. She asks if he knows what they did to Ovglen, and he says yes. This all but confirms he's an eye, because there's no other way that he would know that. Though he's not willing to say yet, he just sticks to his moon eyes and dead voice. He reminds me of a perpetually brooding angel, only without the charisma and great hair.
I couldn't say no when Mrs. Waterford asked me.
It's good insight to see that men aren't as free as they might appear to be, at least not all men. That Nick too is vulnerable to Serena Joy, that she does have some level of control over him. And he finally admits it. Yes, he's an eye. Then he orders her back to bed. Dick. Then we're in a different bed, where June and Nick have been meeting in hotel rooms for a while, and she finally says, I want you to leave your wife. And he says, okay, I love you. Simple. And we get a new location, an outdoor flower mart. It's gorgeous. There are a lot of handmaids and Marthas walking around, everyone looking at the pretty flowers, wives being dropped off in cars. Seriously, what's with dictatorships and shiny black cars? Offred manages a short conversation with Stephen.
Mayday. Can't use me anymore. But you can help them.
Who are they?
She finally tells Offred her real name, but before she can tell her how to contact Mayday, Ovglen 2.0 pulls her away. This is the last straw for Emily. She's passed on the rebel knowledge, now it's time to wreak a little havoc. And an open car door gives her the perfect opportunity. She gets a few brief moments of elation and exhilaration, but we all know there's nowhere to go. So, she takes out a couple of guards, nods her goodbye to Offred, and gets dragged away in a black van. I love that the handmaids don't talk about her on the way home. Ovglen 2.0 even tries to be nice. And then it's time for more weird from Serena Joy. I mean, I suppose she's as desperate for gossip and any kind of excitement as anyone else, and somehow she's already heard that something happened at the market before Offred even gotten home. She pretends she just wanted to make sure Offred is okay, then launches into...
Some women can't handle the requirements of their position. They can't do what needs to be done. You understand what I'm saying?
Her ability to make threats sound like helpful advice is astonishing. On the flip side, I hate how Offred behaves in this scene. She's far too bold, and that smirk on her face is just asking for trouble. I mean, I know she's thinking of how Emily looked, that she looked
invincible.
This is very dangerous thinking. This leads to doing very stupid things. Yeah, she's off to see Nick on her own, and this is where I think the cheating line should have been, because it would make sense here. This time it is her choice. She's making the decision. She's breaking all the rules. She's risking getting shot to do this. So yeah, that would feel a lot more like cheating. This, I like. Whatever my feelings on the relationship, I like how they chose to do this. She literally lets her hair down, and she's the aggressor here. She strips herself and Nick. He doesn't touch her. This isn't the ceremony. This isn't being bred like a prized horse. This is lust and carnal and want. I love that there are no words spoken at all. And for the first time in forever, she gets to be on top. Made me laugh. I really had to search for this one this time. But then I remembered my girl, Moira.
Hi. You look heterosexual.
I wish I had balls like that. I might not be single. You go, girl. For Emily, stealing the car and running over the guards. Some may think she went too far, but remember what's been done to her. All that's been done to her. And this is a country at war. And in war, you kill. Nitpick, the Nick and June relationship. The dialogue is not up to par for me in the kitchen scene, and the sex scene, while it's done well cinematically and acted well, it has a lot of cuts for a show that usually makes excellent use of long, sustained shots, and the whole scene just drags on way too long. Ironic feminist Serena Joy for arranging for Offred to be bred by Nick and trying to couch it in the guise of being helpful while we all know it's purely selfish. Dick of the episode, once again the Commander, for his thoughts on respect and the cat and mouse games with Offred. And that is episode 5, Faithful, of the Hulu series The Handmaid's Tale. I am InsaneLayne. Blessed be, bitches. Bye-bye.